Recently, I came across a video on YouTube that really, for me, exemplifies what the ranching community and what ranching families ought to be. The name of the ranch is the Hash Knife Ranch. I'm going to put a link to that video and to their page in the description below. But this video really exemplified, and for me, shows the commitment and the dedication, the respect for the animals, everything that a ranch or rancher or ranch family should be. These guys just exemplify that tremendously. I would say the vast majority of people have no idea what all goes into raising a calf, from the time it hits the ground until the time it's weaned, the medications it gets or may not need when you wean it, how often it needs fed, all the different things that go into it, on top of the love of the animals themselves. Most people go to the grocery store, they grab the product they want, whether it be a roast, a steak, hamburger, whatever it is, and that's as much thought as they put into the product. But there is so much more involved. It's not something that you can just think, I'm going to go out and get rich doing this. I can guarantee you very few ranchers, if your only product is being a rancher, very few get rich. It's a very difficult life. It's a very difficult process. But the people doing it, I would say, typically do it because they love the work, the livestock, the life, everything that is involved with that ranch. There's a misconception with some people that ranchers are only in it for the money. They don't care about the animals. They mistreat the animals. They give them things that are unnecessary just to make them to grow quickly, put on weight faster, all of these things, and that they don't really care about the animals in general. And overall, I would say that's completely false. But I will say that there is a small number that they do. They don't care as much about the animal as the bottom line itself. But overall, those are a very small percentage of the people who work in the ranching industry, whether that be your local ranching family or cowboys working on some big ranch in Texas, wherever it may be. Most of the people involved in ranching do it because they love it. Like I said, very few people get rich ranching. The vast majority of ranchers, whether that be cattle or raising sheep or whatever stock they're raising, are extremely dedicated to the animals in their care. Many will also farm land as well to produce a good crop, whether it be alfalfa or just grass hay or whatever it is. They put in countless hours irrigating and cutting, baling, swathing, on and on, to get a good quality product that they can feed their stock and know that the animals are cared for properly and taken care of. And so they know the quality of feed going into these animals. So they know the quality of the animal product they want to put out. They have pride in the product they're putting out. Of course, they're going to try to find the happy medium to where, because it is a business, they're going to try to find a happy medium that they're putting a good quality feed into the animal, but at the same time, they're trying to get that at the lowest price possible. So there is a balance. This is a business, and you can't just go and throw money at any business and just expect that you're just going to be able to do this indefinitely. It's just not possible. On many of your large ranches, you've got so much overhead. These big ranches have got tons of, dozens of hired hands, cowboys, whatever they may be, guys working, fixing fence, doctoring cows, calves, whatever it be, moving cows on and off pasture, moving them from one range to a different range. There's so much overhead involved with these larger businesses, these larger ranches, that it's really difficult to focus in on one or two animals that, this animal isn't ever going to be as big as the rest. It was young, it was a late calf or whatever it was. It got injured, got frostbite, whatever it may be. So many times these ranches, the bigger ranches, they're just not able to focus in and take the time necessary for an individual animal or a small group of animals that aren't ever going to reach the full potential of what should be expected. If their goal is to sell a product, whether that be a steer or a heifer at 1,000 pounds, many times they'll see that an animal is never going to reach that. So they'll cull these off at an early age, and they're going to take a loss at the sale barn because of physical flaws, whatever they may be. Maybe it's maybe got a burned tail when it was a calf, or its ears got burned off. These things truly don't affect the product itself, but at the sale barn, they will get docked for these flaws. Even though the beef product isn't going to be damaged itself, they will get docked because of those flaws. I understand these bigger ranches can't do that and that they don't have the time to dedicate to one or two animals. I fully understand that. It's a completely different type of operation than I have. Again, I'm not a rancher, but that's a completely different type of an operation, and they have a different business model. Everything is completely different about what they're doing and what I'm doing, or I would venture to say what many local ranches are doing. The thing I would like you to realize is that all of these ranches are all a business. Many of your family ranches, you've got a wife typically that will work in town. Many times the husband works in town as well, and the ranch is something they love. It's still a business, and they have to mind it as a business, just like the bigger ranches. Many times when it's a family operation, the family really has to watch every penny of this operation. They have to be very careful and mindful of the feed they're putting in, ensuring that no feed's going to waste. If they can get hay for $145 a ton rather than $150 a ton, they're going to have to look for those little advantages. Many times these small family operations can't afford to lose, $100 a head. They just can't do that. So if you've got one or two animals that just aren't going to make the grade, most small farms aren't going to be able to absorb that, not for long. That's the reason I actually have brought up the Hash Knife Ranch. Here on this video, you'll see that I believe they said they have 10 or 12 steers in right now that they're feeding out at that point on this video. That may not be completely accurate. I'm not sure. But what you do see with these guys on the Hash Knife Ranch is they're very much in touch with every animal they're dealing with. They're very well aware that one of the steers, for example, when they give each steer or each heifer their ration of grain, one of the steers will rush through his ration and go over and push some of the others off their ration and get into that. So because they know the animals, they're very much in contact with them, they'll separate that steer off and feed him by himself so that each cow or each steer, each heifer, whatever it may be, each one is getting its full ration. The thing that really got me about this video is their dedication to the animals and the compassion they have for the animals that are in there. They have one heifer that at a younger age, I'm assuming, I don't have the full story, just what's in the post that they got up. But there is one heifer that I'm assuming at a young age, born in an early part of the year, and it got some frost issues. It froze. It has some ears that had gotten frozen. It seemed like its left rear leg had frozen and damaged from being frozen. And it had some digestive issues, but again, I ask you to watch the video so that you'll have a better idea of what I'm talking about. Most bigger ranches would have just put the animal down. Otherwise, they would have culled it or whatever, taken the loss and been done with this animal. They just don't have time to dedicate to an animal that's going to require the additional time, the additional feed, the additional care that this animal required. That said, the guys on the Hash Knife Ranch went completely the opposite direction. They took the tough road. They have stayed with this heifer. They have raised her just like every other animal they've got. They keep her off to the side. When each one's getting their grain ration, she gets the grain ration as well. Of course, it's by weight and how much she should have. They know going in that this heifer is never going to bring the price that a 1,000-pound steer is going to bring. They know that this heifer is never going to produce the amount of beef or even possibly the quality of beef that the steers or some of the other heifers are going to produce. Nonetheless, they continued to care for that animal as though there was nothing wrong, treating it with extreme care, respect, and compassion that I would like all ranches to do. It really was heartwarming for me to see what these guys were putting into these animals, and this heifer in particular. And that's the reason I'm mentioning them and giving you the link to that video and the link to their page, because these guys went well above and beyond what most people would put into an animal. It goes to show their true love of what they're doing. I could say that there are many people that would never spend the time that heifer needed, that these guys are putting in. It sounds like these guys sell generally to their local area. It sounds like they may have a website also online. But this heifer that I was speaking of, they fed her out and are feeding her out, and they have found a client that is actually working with them to purchase this heifer for beef. From my understanding, they're just going to get hamburger out of it, and the customer understands that. The customer knows going in that it is a heifer. It's never going to be the full size of the other. It's never going to produce what the others are going to. The ranch, the guys at the Hash Knife Ranch have been completely open with this client. And nonetheless, the client wants to purchase it, and it's going to work out really well for everyone involved. Otherwise, the guys from the ranch would have processed it, and it would have been for their use only. But they found a client who, from what I would venture to say, is that the client respects the guys at the Hash Knife Ranch for doing this the hard way, for going the extra steps for this heifer. So they have great respect for the guys at the ranch itself, and they probably also care a great deal about animals and want the best for this heifer. I know that all these animals are going to end up on a dinner table somewhere. I do understand that. But that doesn't mean that we need to treat animals badly or poorly or anything like that. And I'm bringing up this ranch because they really are a great. They truly exemplify what goes into these ranches and what should be ranchers and the ranching families. I have huge respect for what they've done, and they've gone above and beyond what would be expected of them. Additionally, in the video, they go on to explain the countless hours that you put in during calving season. If you've got heifers that are going to be calving a first time, that's a full-time job. If you've got a cow or calf that's gotten into the fence, or recently you've seen in our place, the water has been a real problem getting water for us because of the 20 below weather, and then now it's actually warmed up, and it's just a mess. Nonetheless, these guys really go on to explain all that goes into their calves, their steers, their cattle, and pointing out things that are important that people just don't understand. If a rancher were ever to try to pay himself for the time invested on any of his cattle, he would go broke the first year. The hours are extreme at minimum. you'll put in 2 or 3 hours in the morning, 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon, and that's only for a small ranch. That's, you put in your couple hours in the morning, making sure everybody's fed, got water. You go to town, you work your job. When you come back, you make sure they've got feed, you make sure they got water, you make sure everybody's good, nobody's gotten into the fence or anything like that. And these guys really describe and explain the process in detail, and I'm thankful for their video, and I'm thankful and have respect for everything they've done. So I'd like to recommend that you go check out the video, check out their page, and if you're in the Billings, Montana area, north of the Billings, Montana area, anywhere in that area, I recommend you get a hold of these guys and talk to them about getting beef. If you're looking for a side of beef or a full beef bundles, I don't know all the products they have, and I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I recommend you get a hold of these guys. If you don't live in our area, I highly recommend looking for someone in your local community that's raising beef. Go talk to them, take a look at their operation, see what they're putting into the animals, and when you go to buy beef, buy a side of beef or buy a full beef from them. And generally, most of the time, you're going to end up paying much, much less for your beef. Beef at the grocery store now is $5-6 a pound for hamburger. You're going to pay way less than that for not only the hamburger, but your New York steaks, your prime ribs, or whatever it may be. Anyway, I would greatly appreciate it if you go take a look at this video. Appreciate it if you take a look at the Hash Knife Ranch YouTube channel or this video, and just tell the guys hi, and just take a look at what it takes to put into these guys. I really appreciate your time. Have a great day. Thank you.